It's Hollie's Hotspurs back with another one. Chatting all things Tottenham, we're second to none. Special guests every time, if it's win, lose or draw. The passion is high like Harry Kane when he scores. Or when Lloris makes a world-class save. We got Hollie running the mid every game. Settle down, stick around, share your thoughts with the panel. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Coys.
Hello and welcome to another Hollie's Hotspurs Live, where we can talk about another win, ladies and gents, and obviously Harry Kane breaking even more records. That makes 3 wins on the bounce and a clean sheet, which is lovely jubbly. And with me to dissect everything, I am joined by 2 fabulous guests. First of all, Connor, it's great to see you back on the show again. How are you, my friend?
Thanks for having me back on. Yeah, I'm buzzing. I'm still buzzing from last night. Just what a night, honestly. Yeah, we needed that. And just, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm really good. I'm really good. How are you?
Good.
All right?
I'm all right. I mean, it's a Monday. I'm a bit shattered, but hey, who cares when Tottenham get all 3 points? That's all that really matters. But no, thank you for joining me again, Connor. And Formz, how are you? Welcome back onto the show. How are you feeling?
Thanks for having me back. Yeah, I'm good. I'm gassed. What a game. What a vibe. What a club. We're winning it all. Do you know what's mad though? The treble's still on.
I love the optimism.
No, obviously I'm kidding. If we win the treble, I'll buy you both a Ferrari.
I'm going to hold you to that now. But no, it's good to have you both back on. And obviously, we have got another win to discuss. Welcome to everybody that is tuning in at the moment. Thank you, Bobby, for jumping straight on. But yeah, let's get into it. We've also got 164 spare. Thank you very much. So obviously, like we said, it's 3 wins on the bounce and a clean sheet. And it's the 5th game, Connor, that City still haven't scored or won at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. What do you make of that?
Do you know what? It is mental. I can't get my head around it. They've not scored at the stadium at all. They can't score it. They can't do anything against us. I don't know what it is. We just always seem to turn up in that game, and I love it because when it's City, do you know what I mean? It's Man City. Like, I don't know what it is, but I love it anyway. So long may it continue. Honestly, just yeah, we were brilliant. We really were.
No, and it's true. I think that's the thing for us. I don't know what it is. We've just got something over them, and I love it. Obviously, we won't talk about it at the Etihad because it hasn't been the same this season. But at Tottenham Hotspur, you can't write it, can you?
Every team's got a bogey ground, and I am so grateful City's is ours. It's nuts. Like when you think of the quality that they've had over the past 5 games that they've played at the ground, Aguero, Haaland, Edge, De Bruyne, Mahrez, just the world class players just come to that ground and just don't score goals. It's great.
It is a proper vibe, and I think we can safely say, and everybody watching, that may it continue. But obviously, Connor, it was the same lineup. Obviously, we had no Conte. We did have Stellini leading the line. And there was no real changes. Were you kind of surprised by that, or not at all?
I think a lot of people were expecting Porro. In all honesty, we were all going into that game thinking, we spent all this money on Porro, put him straight in, this, that, the other. So, yeah, I was a little bit surprised, but I was more surprised with how brilliant everyone was. It just everyone worked so well. Everything was brilliant, and I've got no words for it. I've got no words for how well they all just connected. And as for Stellini stepping in and doing the job, I'll call him man of Stellini now. Honestly, he's like he's a Superman, mate. Seriously, like yeah, just I was surprised that Emerson was in, but he was probably man of the match. So yeah.
And I'm glad you've mentioned that name because, as everybody knows, I'm probably not his biggest fan, but Formz, Jesus, what a performance he had!
No one's his biggest fan, Hollie.
That is very true.
I know one of my friends has got a track record of getting absolutely pony signings on his back. He got Sissoko on his shirt when Sissoko signed. He got Davinson Sanchez and he got Emerson Royale. So like the hat trick of pony signings. But yeah, I'll be honest. Saw the lineup. Everyone's first reaction, you're right, was where the hell is Porro? But when you think about it, did we want somebody who flies for? Yes, the system is the Conte's wingback system. Flying wingbacks, great. Against City, did we want somebody who's going to spend his entire time flying forward and leaving that gap open, or did we want someone who's more naturally gifted at defending, like Emerson Royale? And I put it in quotation marks, but he proved his doubters wrong last night. He was he was class. He pocketed Grealish for 90% of the time. I think he did everything that was required of him last night, and I really hope that it continues because that was sick.
It really was. And I think, like I said, none of us are our biggest fan of Emerson, but like Formz has said, Connor, he did literally have Grealish on strings, and it made me laugh the entire game.
It was one of those things where you're going into the game and you're thinking, bloody hell, it's Grealish on the side. I'm expecting him to get absolutely rinsed here. And I don't know what he's taken. I know there's this whole thing about he spent all this money on this training program, this, that, the other. But oh my God, honestly, he just dominated. Literally, Grealish is probably still in his back pocket, mate. It was just so insane how he was all over the pitch. He was everywhere. He was just. I cannot think in recent times of a better right back performance than that. From Emerson, from this guy who we've all said, what the hell, like, yeah, just magical. That's the word for it. It was magical from him. What a man! I love him now.
I was going to say he's made me like him a little bit. I'll go that far, a tiny wee bit. But I think Ross has kind of read my mind for him because I think it is that competition for space. We know Porro is breathing down Royale's neck, so maybe it's a good thing that obviously we want Pedro Porro to start Formz, but it's good to have competition for space, as it's clearly seen.
I mean, look, that's what competition is meant to do. But when you've got 3 right wing backs on your roster in Spence, Doherty, and Emerson, you'd think that when you're competing for a place, not just against one player, but against 2, you'd put in a little bit more of a shift. Granted, Spence wasn't playing, but back end of last season when Doherty was in that run of form before he got injured against Villa, Emerson had no sniff in the team whatsoever. And whenever he was coming on, it was like, what are you doing, mate? Get back off the pitch. I'd rather play with 10. So, yeah, I get the whole competition element and maybe bringing someone like Porro in who Emerson probably knew how excited the fans were and knows the quality and knows that he's exactly the type of right wing back that fits the Conte system. Might have given him a bit of a kick up the backside. But I'll be honest, I don't think it was competition that gave that to Emerson last night. I think he looked to the Brazilian gods and said, give me what you gave Neymar, Ronaldinho and Pele and just make me a defender instead.
Fez, I'll rate that. And maybe he said to the gods to make Pedro Porro ill, Connor, because obviously that was the reason why he wasn't playing, apparently.
Was he ill?
Apparently so. Apparently he's been feeling under the weather. So I don't know whether, like Formz said, he's spoken to the gods, not for Pedro Porro to start. But do you think with the whole concept that obviously Conte is recovering from his operation, do you think Pedro Porro is going to be left maybe for the next couple of games? Or do you think it'll be introduced, like, say, in the second half or something?
I think he'll get minutes. I think there's definitely that element there. I think if you bring him on too early in a game, it changes the whole dynamic altogether. So, yeah, you'd bring him on if you wanted to change a game for sure. But he's not, if Emerson plays like this, Porro is just going to have to sit on that bench, mate. Honestly, Emerson can start every game. Listen, if Emerson's playing like this every game, I don't want to see Porro on that pitch because but I mean, listen, Porro will get minutes, but I will happily have Emerson play every minute right now if he plays like that every game, honestly. So, yeah.
No, it's an interesting one because obviously I'm thinking, but I mean, we'll get onto it later with Leicester. That's probably a conversation for a bit later on, whether he starts against Leicester or whether Pedro Porro does. But we'll leave that one for later on. But I'll come to you again, Formz. Obviously, City did have a lot of possession when we kicked off. But were you ever kind of phased with that? I think we all kind of knew that was probably going to be what was going to happen from the off.
I mean, look, when you play at home, you're typically meant to take the game to the opponent rather than it be the other way around. But with Man City, it just doesn't happen, does it? You just have to expect that they are going to be on it. They're going to try and keep the ball as much as they can, pass it around you, pass it through you, and just shoot whenever they get the chance. But then again, Spurs in recent years, yes, boring football, call it whatever you want to call it, but we have been the team for a counter-attack. So I think when we do play the likes of City, or whenever we've had good games against Liverpool, etc., when teams come at us, when we're on our day, we hit them on the counter, and if we do it successfully, we end up winning the game. And I think that's why we didn't look too nervy whenever City had the ball for long periods of time, because we knew what was coming. We knew the job we had to do. We just had to rely on every single player on the pitch knowing what they were doing and being confident, and they all were. That back five were faultless yesterday. That midfield two it was almost like we were playing 4 in midfield. We didn't look outnumbered like we usually are. And then the front 3 did what the front 3 do. It's nuts. It was, hello, is this Tottenham or is this bloody Bayern Munich? It's crazy.
I literally think, right, Ross is reading my mind tonight. Because, Connor, my next question to you was the fact that we were pressing so high, and it kind of led to the goal with obviously Højbjerg nicking the ball off. So, as well as Formz saying obviously we weren't too nervous about City having the ball, I think that high press was something that we haven't really seen much of this season.
Not just this season, in general, for a very long time. I mean, our best football under Pochettino was that press all the time, wasn't it? So it was quite alien seeing it yesterday, but it shows that particularly against someone like City, and City have shown this multiple times even this season, when you press them, they get nervous. They've got a team full of fantastic players, but they're nervous on the ball. And there's that mentality for them going into this game away at us that they can't beat us, and it got to them again, you know. And what Formz said about the defence as well, honestly, I would never ever have expected anyone to sit here and me agree with them and say that was thinking, oh my god, they were so well connected together. Dyer was fantastic, Davis was fantastic, Romero just completely wound them up as he always does, and he got himself sent off. I don't even care, because that's just what he does. Like they all work so well, and like you say, the press just paid off because they knew what they were doing. And whether that's Conte's instructions to Stellini or not, it was just brilliant and so beautiful to see. I want to see more of it. I want to see more of this pressing game. But of course, it's pick and choose against certain teams. If you're doing it against someone like Forest, then I don't know, it might be a different story. But
no, you do make some great points. And I think obviously both David and Darren have said the same kind of thing. I mean, I didn't really notice it because I was just kind of pacing up and down, wanting another goal to go in. But they were saying how Formz that we didn't get so overrun because it looked like Dyer dropped in midfield at times. Did you see that as well? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did, and it was also quite nice to see because he's so comfortable there playing arguably his best years in that central defensive role under Poch. So it was a great tactic, and I think it's one that when he does stick with the 2 in midfield and he's not bringing Basuma in to play the 3, I think it's great when you can put a player like Dyer in that midfield to make it a 3 for a short period of time, because then we don't get overrun like we have been. And hopefully, if he's on his day, which he hasn't necessarily been too much this season, then we'll be all right. It's so weird. I still how we're so good. Oh, we've just got this momentum now, right? That I'm dreaming. Stop me. Someone else talk. I'm dreaming.
Oh dear. Before I come to Connor, Uncle Albert has shown his face. Don't worry, Albert. You may have lost Evan. Another loss is coming. Don't worry about it. We may have given you a favour this time, but your time's running out. But no, Connor, I think we did play amazingly. But that goal that we obviously scored from the high press from Højbjerg, and then Harry Kane scoring that goal to obviously break Jimmy Greaves' record to get 267 goals. I mean, how was it in the stadium when that happened?
Oh, it was literally and everyone's been saying it as a historical moment, but it literally was a historical moment. It happened and you were like, oh my God, all the screens are turned. Everyone was just celebrating non-stop. It was just it did. I mean, it was going to happen, but it just didn't feel real. And it was so fitting that it was against City, especially with everything that happened with all the transfer and everything going on. And that's just everything to do with it. And honestly, it was a buzz that, like I say, is still with me. There could not have been a better player to break that record in a better game and a better performance. It was just perfect. And I'm like Formz. I'm in this dreamland where I'm just like, screw it. We can play anyone. I don't care now. Honestly, I'm so buzzed, man. It was beautiful. It was honestly
on that. To anyone watching this right now that wants to know what the atmosphere was like, I just posted a vlog from me at the game on TikTok. Literally type in Formz and you'll see me. And I flipped the camera when he scores, and the announcer was just it was so, you got goosebumps when he was like, first goal for Spurs scored in the 15th minute. Courtesy of your new Tottenham all-time record goal scorer, Harry Kane, and everyone it was the loudest roar, and it was great. So if you want to check that out, go and check that out. Not right now though. After
I love that, but no, I'm so gutted that I wasn't able there to witness it. But from hearing your guys talking about it, it just sounds amazing. And the fact that obviously Formz, I'll stick with you, the way that he obviously Højbjerg passes the ball to him and then he knows it's like, we talk about this so many times. He just knows where the goal is. You don't have to look up at all. And I think the fact that he is Tottenham's all-time goal scorer really poignant what a class act he is.
Without a doubt. I mean, first things first, you can't knock the effort that Højbjerg put in last night. He was, if it wasn't Emerson, Højbjerg was man of the match. He, I think, had his best game all season. He's not the most technical player, and he'll be the first person to admit that. But the way that he picked the ball up, it stuck to his feet. And then when he got in that position where he was under pressure by 2 or 3 defenders, and it was stuck within his feet, and he still managed to outside boot flick it to Kane. He did exceptionally well. He was so on point, as was Bentancur. And then obviously, you're right, Kane doesn't need to. Kane can be blindfolded and facing the other way, and he'll still find the back of the net. It's class. It's pure class. There's no striker in world football like it, because when he gets the ball, he'll hold the ball up. He's not going to lose the ball. He sees goal. Give him half an inch. Give him a quarter of an inch. He'll shoot and he'll at least get it on target. He's just so... It's just class. It's pure class. And there's such a debate with other Big Six fans, because every lower... every team that's not considered Big Six and lower league fans absolutely adore Harry Kane, but it's more the rivals that don't. And their excuses are he disappears in big games. But his goal record speaks for itself. There's nothing, you just can't fault the man. And he prides himself on being this resilient player, or this resilient person who, no matter what happens to him, he'll pick himself up and he'll better himself and he'll continuously improve. And he's shown that time and time again. And obviously, most recently, when he missed the penalty against France, we got knocked out. Any other player, I reckon, would have gone through maybe a little bit of bad form, or wouldn't have mentally been there. The geezer came straight back, banged in goals left, right, and centre, and now he's Tottenham's all-time record goal scorer. Which, by the way, you can be like no disrespect to like an Ipswich or a Swindon, you can be their all-time record goal scorers, and it's a fantastic thing. Tottenham Hotspur, one of the biggest clubs in world football, is I could talk about it for the next 3.5 hours. It's gorgeous. He's great, and I hope he never leaves.
Agreed. And I think that's the big question on everybody's lips, Connor. I mean, you backtrack obviously a couple of months ago, and we were saying, oh man, this Conte thing, is Conte going to stay? If Conte doesn't stay, is Kane gone? But do you think now, obviously, with the fact where we kind of are, I'm not trying to flip it in. I don't want to be the channel that's like, when it's really bad, it's really, really bad. When it's good, it's really, really good. But do you think now maybe this could be the turning point that Kane will probably stay at Spurs?
It's a turning point. It's definitely something in the right direction, 100%. But it's hard to say if it's enough. I mean, realistically, do not get me started on there was that quote from Schwarzer the other day when he was like, oh, I think the only team for him is Chelsea. And I'm like, you do not understand Harry Kane. In what world did Harry Kane join Chelsea? Do you know what I mean? I just don't get it. But no, I think the final hurdle is that, I hate, it's a bad word, that trophy. It's that trophy. It's literally that we are still in 2 competitions. We're not going to win the Champions League. I'm going to be so honest with you. We're not, obviously, but we're still in the FA Cup. We have a good run there. And I think that is the push for him to stay, because we all love him. Like there are not enough words to describe how much I love Harry Kane, let alone every single Spurs fan. There is no better man to break that record, honestly. And I think he wants to stay. I really think he does. And you get all these people beating him with the trophy stick. So, yeah, I honestly think that he could stay. I honestly think that now he's done. I agree. Now he's done this, it might just be the thing that pushes that over the edge. Because what's the fun in joining United and breaking Shearer's record? Do it Spurs. Win a couple of trophies as well. You know what I mean? So
it's a sidestep as well. It's like when you realistically look at the teams there, because he's not going abroad. When you realistically look at the teams he can join, Chelsea and Arsenal, okay. City, he won't join City because they've got Haaland. Yes, they can afford him, blah, 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 blah. I can't see the City thing happening. He's too old now for what they need. They need a project striker because they've got Haaland now as well. Who does that leave? Liverpool. Kane will never join Liverpool. Liverpool, I don't think would suit Kane. Well, he'd suit any fucking team. Sorry for swearing. Suit any team, but I just don't think he'd ever join Liverpool. They can't afford him. So then it does come down to Man United. Probably the only team realistically he can join and that can afford him. But you want to win trophies. You look at recent history. What have they got? A Europa League? Cool. Whatever. Like you join if he wants to go and have a new challenge. That new challenge for Harry Kane is winning trophies. I think if you go to United, they've probably got just as good a chance. Granted, Carabao Cup final, they've got just as good a chance as winning a trophy in the next couple of years as we have.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because I agree. Bar the Carabao Cup final, but they are for me. They're a couple of years ahead of where they were going to be. You know, so I think he looks at United's situation, and they're not going to win the league when you've got your likes of your City and that. But I think he would look at it and say there is a better chance of doing that. But I think his honest loyalty to Spurs is what overrides it all.
Definitely.
He loves us. Sorry to interrupt again, but again, for the people who were watching that weren't there yesterday, after the game, the fans were told to stay seated because Kane was going to have an interview with Paul Coy, and it was so plain to see how much he loves it. Yes, we all love him. He loves Tottenham, and just the way that as soon as he got asked the question, before he'd even answered the question, the songs go to One Season Wonder. He's one of our own. Just the screams and the love for Harry Kane. He was looking up around the 60,000 with kind of water in his eyes. And it was just such an emotional moment. It was one of them that not many players have that type of connection with every single football fan. I can't name you a single Tottenham fan that doesn't like Harry Kane. And it's like, why would you want to leave something you've got so good? You're 20, what is he, 29? He's still got so many years left in his career. I mean, is he going to be the most decorated football player in history? No. Is he going to win trophies? 100%. 100%. Stick around, Azza. Go on.
I love that. I think, like you say, I wasn't there yesterday, but the fact of you guys saying like how he was at the end of the game, and I saw that I think Harry himself put it on TikTok, but I think the caption was like One Season Wonder, and he was going like this with the salt.
No, it's a baby violin he was playing.
Was it a baby violin?
Violin, yeah.
And I was just like, oh mate, that's just class. But I will leave the Harry Kane chat, but I want to obviously move. We touched a little bit on Højbjerg, Connor, but it's more the fact in some weeks he has really irritated me. But I thought last night his passing, apart from one, I think, if I'm being really critical, his passing was great. And obviously, like we said, he assisted the goal. Do you think that now maybe he's resting in with Bentancur next to him? Because obviously there's this big debate of whether those two work effectively together. But I think against City, it obviously worked.
I think he annoys all of us, to be honest. It's plain to see. But yesterday he was that Viking. He was that fighter, that leader, that player who, when he's on the top of his game, he's not passing it to the opposition every 5 seconds, basically. Do you know what I mean? So I think it might be bold to suggest that it is definitely going to work with Bentancur straight away. I think it's still going to take a bit more time, but we've got the rest of the season, and I think it could definitely work. A lot of it is the confidence, isn't it? A lot of it's a confidence thing. When the rest of the team are confident on the ball and you can afford to take your time against the likes of City, then he probably feels comfortable as well. Like he's not going to end up giving it away backwards and forwards. And like Formz said, he was so comfortable on the ball as well, moving with it. That's the players there. It's just the time. And I think on top of that as well, it's the testing the system, isn't it? But does Sarr come back in at some point? Does Skip come back in at some point? There's so many different questions, but
But yeah, no, I think it is right. I think like I say, it just irritates everyone, but I thought I can't really fault him yesterday. He did put a brilliant performance in. I think it's the levels. I think it's who we're playing which I suppose it shouldn't be. Every game you should go in wanting to fight for your all. But I feel like in football, you tend to have that kind of feeling where you're like, actually, no, I need to put a big shift in today because we're playing these. So that's maybe what it is. But Formz, it was a bit hairy towards the end of the half because obviously City did manage to hit the crossbar, and that probably would have maybe been a different story to end the half if that obviously did go in.
praise whatever religious being everybody believes in that hit the bar and ricocheted straight off of it, because that would kind of put us in trouble, especially just before half time. We'd probably be it would absolutely deflate us going in there. We wouldn't have Conte in there to give us the kick up the backside. Granted, I think Stellini, I watched him on the touchline for 90 and I don't think he sat down once. But yeah, it would have completely changed the game, because it would have given City that they would have gotten over that mental block. We haven't scored here in 4 games. This is the 5th. Oh, we finally scored. Let's give them hell. So I'm very glad, and we won the game.
Happy days. No, it is right. Yeah, I think that would have obviously been a different story. Like I said, it would have broken that mental kind of block. But Connor, apart from that, and maybe a few other chances, I thought we looked solid at the back. And I know we touched on the defence, but I felt for once, every time a ball came in, someone was clearing it. And again, that's probably something we've kind of missed in most games this season.
Again, not just this season, it's something we've missed for a really long time. And I literally feel in dreamland, because I'm like, I've seen a defense that can actually work together and it can defend. And I'm, the thing on top of that as well is, Tottenham teams of old, all the time, you're at the end of that game and you're thinking, they're going to score. They're going to score. We got 10 men. They're going to score. They're going to score. But they just stuck it out. They were so solid. There was such a great outfit between them. And yeah, it was, I don't know if it will last, but I just want to enjoy it for now, because we're all talking about wanting the new centre back and this, that, the other. But if there is that in these players and it can work, then who knows what can happen?
No, Connor, we need a centre back.
Obviously,
we need 2.
100%. But I mean, for the rest of the season, I mean, we don't need to talk about our recruitment with players like Rosen and that. So
no, you do make a good point in the sense that they can obviously do it. Why is it not turning up every week? I think that's the kind of big annoying bit. But obviously, Formz, it wasn't 100% record for the defence, because then we saw Romero get sent off for a second yellow. I kind of want to pose this to you. I mean, I don't dislike the aggressiveness, but do you think there's a way that he can kind of tone it down, or do you just think that's Romero? We just got to get on and deal with it.
Loved every second of it. Loved every second of it. The best part was he edited his Instagram caption now, but he initially posted it. I saw it as soon as it went up. And he did 2 emojis at the end. It was a red card and a smiley face. He knew what he was doing. He loves what he does, and I'm here for it. Yeah, he's going to miss Leicester. There's way harder. I'm so glad it wasn't a straight red, because then that's Chelsea and West Ham as well. So cool. Miss Leicester. Have a breather, son. Bring in Big Dav. All good. I think his aggressive style makes him the player he is. It makes him no nonsense. It means that he'll whack into opposition within the first 2 minutes of a game and set the tone. And I think that because of his aggressiveness, or aggression, I should say, it makes him so unpredictable for opposition attackers that it works. And, I think that was his first red card for Spurs, which is crazy considering the recklessness of him. Honestly, it was his first sending off for Spurs. Cool. 1 in 18 months, Christian. I don't mind it. As long as it's a second yellow and not a straight red. I think he's, what is he, 24? He's young as hell. Like he's got time to adapt that part of his game. But for the meantime, I've got no complaints. He came back from the World Cup and was a little bit not the Romero we knew. But after the other night, I think he's great. We need somebody in the middle and on the left who's going to be consistent. I think that the back 3 played their part against City. We'll see how that plays out against Leicester and then against Milan. Oh my God, Milan! I can't wait. But we'll see. I hope that this momentum and those 3 working together as well as they did yesterday means that they now understand what's required of them. Because if they can do it against a team that attacks as much as City does, there's no reason why they can't do it against the Leicester, against whoever else we got this season.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's the thing. I think that it's not annoying. It's just like, well, if you can do it, boys, turn up and do it every week. But sticking with Romero, I like the way Formz that you said, obviously, his aggressiveness or aggression. So I'm really bad at English, as you can tell. His aggression is definitely a key part of his game plan. And Connor, I think like Formz has kind of touched on, we've missed that with Tottenham. We haven't seen that player that wears his shirt on his sleeve, his heart on his sleeve, shall I say. So with that as well, you kind of in the same kind of field of, yeah, so what? Let him be aggressive.
I think so. I think he's a nutter and he's an absolute maniac, but he's our nutter and maniac. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want anyone else. The real test with him is Leicester, really. We see how well the defence can cope with that aggressiveness against them, because let's face it, we've had a few games this. I mean, you look at games like the Villa game, we've had games where there's not been that fight and that aggression and that sort of thing. And it's there in him, but it's an iffy one with him, because you do have that worry when he gets that first yellow. For me, every time I do watch it, I'm like, don't make another challenge. And it's happened, but like you say, we need that in us. We haven't got enough players that are like us. Yeah, we've got fighters like Højbjerg and that, but you need someone who's going to kick the opposition around. You know, like Tipa commented, like kicking Haaland. Haaland was not in the game. You wouldn't know Haaland was on the pitch, and he got in his head, and that's what Romero does, and that's why we love him for it. So, yeah, what a... I told he's, like I say, he's a maniac, but he's our maniac, and I wouldn't have him in the way. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the thing. Opposition, like fans and stuff, can't stand him. That's because they haven't got him. So tough luck. I just want to bring this up before we move on with Roy. He's back in the corner because I've got nowhere to put him, and the fact that he started playing now again, so he can come out the closet. But
wow, I've only just clocked that you've still got him there. I mean, when I go to Italy, do you want me to throw him over to Sampdoria and someone else can have him?
Yeah, you might actually. We'll put him up for donation. That's probably a good thing to do. Obviously, moving away from other things, we're going to talk about Sonny, because Formz, he hasn't really been himself. But I thought yesterday he actually put a shift in. His dribbling seems to have come back. Yes, it's not 100% yet, but it feels like he's a bit more himself, I felt.
If somebody smashed into your face and broke your cheekbone, would you, 2 weeks later, go and play at the biggest tournament representing your country, looking like Batman, with an extremely fragile face, and then come back without any rest or recovery time, and then throw yourself into the hardest and most physical league in the world, where you are known for taking on players, occasionally knocking into these players, and risking the other side of your face being smashed to pieces? I understand it. I do understand it. Look, granted, before the World Cup, he wasn't really firing either. I understand after the World Cup what was happening. You can't say, oh yeah, but he's fit now. There's always going to be a mental side to injuries, especially injuries that don't happen too often. If it was an ankle, cool, you recover it, you crack on. If it was your toe, your leg, your back, whatever. He broke his face. So I get it. Yes, he's kind of, he needed the goals against Preston to get himself back a little bit more confident. I don't think he had a diabolical game yesterday. I think every player on the pitch played very well. And hopefully this is the start of him slowly getting back into things. I might back a Sonny hat-trick against Leicester. But I don't know. I think the injury really played its part. And he knows what he can do. We know what he can do. Conte knows what he can do. That's why he hasn't been benched yet. So look, whatever, it happens. Players go through spells of bad form, some longer than others. We just have to hope that we get our Sonny back to full speed very soon and no one breaks his face.
You do make a very valid point, because I didn't actually think about his face, to be fair. I was more concerned about obviously going to the World Cup. Has that maybe obviously when he comes back to the Prem, is he a bit more tired? He hasn't had to experience that before, but I didn't actually think of his face, weirdly enough. So you do make a very strong case for that, Formz. But Connor, I think obviously when he managed to bag a few goals against Preston, yes, it's only Preston, but I think it gave him a bit more belief as well, in the sense that actually, yeah, I can do this. I've got my mojo. Let's just go and do it.
100%, and it's not just 2 goals; it's 2 very good goals. He took them very, very well, and I think, and I've said it before, I've said it for a while. Sonny dips in and out. He's always dipped in and out. For me, last season was an anomaly, not in a bad way. That player is there, but it's not sustainable for him, because, like Formz touched on, you know, the fact that he didn't get that rest, that's been us. We've not had any sort of players we can pull in for him. So when he gets an injury, he's playing, or, you know, he's very rarely resting. So the players there, A, it's the confidence, and B, it's the fact that bringing Dan Juma in probably does us a favour now, because we might go into an FA Cup game and actually start Dan Juma instead of Sonny, because he can have some rest. You know, it's always been about depth. It's always been about depth. And I think,
Mhm.
again, people use the same stick to batter Harry with, when Harry goes missing. But it's the same thing. We just haven't had the depth to rest these players. And unfortunately for Sonny, I think he's just burnt out. I think that's literally it. The player is there. He's shown it against, yes, Preston. But, even perfect example, Leicester this season. He comes on, gets that hat-trick. Do you know what I mean? So it is there. It's just the rest. It is literally just the rest. So, yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back because he's our Sonny and we love him. And just, yeah, what a man. What a man.
It'll be fine. It'll be all good. But no, it is great. I mean, like I said, I think he was just a bit more himself against City. Obviously, moving on, because Formz, we've just touched on the fact that obviously we've got Danjuma on the bench.
Mhm.
Man City yesterday had De Bruyne on the bench. They brought him on, and I felt that we actually managed to kind of contain him a little bit. I think there was one instance, and I think I think it was Romero fouled someone, so the ball through didn't actually go through. But regardless of that, I think we did all right. Having to put up with De Bruyne.
Sorry, who's De Bruyne? Yeah, look, he came on. I think in a game like that, you need all 11 switched on, because if you're all connected, I'm going to bring it back to the Arteta light bulb thing, aren't I? When he's not wrong, though, when you're all connected and you're all positive, it works. And at least one of you isn't connected, that light bulb ain't going to switch on. I hate Arteta. What am I doing?
What have you just done?
Only because I got taught the same thing when I was younger. So when he did it, I was like, no, you've ruined something so special for me. But it was that he walked onto a pitch of players who were already shaky on the ball. So yeah, you can save teams and you can come on and you can do your thing if your team isn't playing too well. But they were so deflated, as they are at our ground. And every time they attack, or they did attack, and they looked a little bit scary, or we gave away a free kick on the edge of the box, there was just this feeling that they didn't do it with as much Man City-ness as they usually do. I'm glad he was benched. I'm glad he came on when he came on, and I'm glad he didn't do much for them apart from hit the wall in a free kick. And I think because our midfield was so switched on yesterday, it just didn't give him the chance to be as free as he likes to be. And because the likes of Haaland went missing yesterday, it didn't give him the chance to pick out that perfect pass into the perfect striker who always scores when it's one-on-one with the keeper. So it happened in our favour and we won the game.
That it did. And that's the thing. I think, like you said, I think the only thing that because I think the commentator was saying how Haaland's made so many runs, but they can't pick it through. And I think, again, that goes to the fact that Dyer again was pushing up, obviously, to squeeze the midfield, which we haven't really seen this season, which obviously was nice to see. But obviously, I'm going to bring it up. We managed to win the game, but before the game started, I'm backtracking a little bit. Lots of people were obviously saying how it was weird. It was like it was a tactical game to lose. And Connor, I don't know about you, but I'm a Spurs fan. I want Spurs to win all the time. So for me, I really didn't understand it.
Oh, mate, I could throw things around this room. This whole concept of, it's not bad if we don't win, because at the end of the day, it will help stop Arsenal winning the league. Grow up. Just honestly, I don't get it. You support Tottenham Hotspur. You should want your football team to win every single game. What's the point of sitting there for 90 minutes to go into the game if you're going to end the game and you're going to go, you know what? We lost, but at least it stopped Arsenal. I don't get it. I don't get that. It's a crazy mentality, and I could argue with people till the cows come home. I don't even know if that's relevant or not, but just in general, I don't get it. It's pointless watching a football game, supporting a football club if you don't mind that your team loses. No, I support my club and I want them to win every single game. So for people that were on the fence about it, and I've spoken to people that were on the fence about it, what are you doing? What's the point? Honestly, yeah, I don't like it.
See, the thing is, none of us want Arsenal to win the league. None of us do. But Formz, I'm going to come to you in a minute, because obviously you shook your head and you're one of those people that Connor was talking about.
No.
But for me, I'm thinking if they've cocked up against Everton, they're going to cock up again. So we should win our games and stop worrying about them, and they can just go do their thing. I don't think they're, or you not like that. Here we go. Connor's going to close his eyes and his ears.
No. It's really not that. It's really not that. I would much rather have done the double over City, because you're right, Hollie. Arsenal will cock up, and City will go on and beat teams that aren't their bogey teams. So it wasn't really that at all. It was more the case of if Arsenal end up winning the league and we end up winning the FA Cup, I will be so over the moon that we've won the FA Cup. But you can't escape the fact that our first trophy in however many years, our first FA Cup this century, will be overshadowed by them winning the league. So if City did do the double against us and we still managed to finish top 4 and it so happened to stop Arsenal. Bro, if Arsenal don't win the league and we finish top 4 and it happened because we got lost to City twice, would you not be over the moon?
No.
Like,
this was where it was at. This is what got me. And I just, for me personally, we played Arsenal twice this season, right? We lost to them twice. So I've always said it, well, we didn't beat them. That's on us. That's the one thing that was in our hands. So we cannot possibly just go in a game and think, oh, well, you know, if we don't win it, then it's all right because it stops them. And I know what you mean. We would not hear the end of it if they won the league. Bloody hell, we would hear the end of it for the next 10 years, right? But come on, every game.
I get it. I go into every game confident. I go into every game wanting to win it. If we play bad, if we don't win, I'm annoyed. I'm as annoyed as anybody else. It's just annoying that we've got this little tag along niggling thing on us for this season, and that is, could they do it? And they probably can, and I really hope that they don't. But it's difficult. It is difficult. I would much rather win every single game for the rest of the season. And if they were to win the league, cool. Did they deserve it? Yes. But you're right. We're Spurs fans. Like, cool. Our rivals going, Chelsea win the league all the time. Whatever. I know it's Arsenal, and I know it's way worse. And I'd much rather see Chelsea win the treble than Arsenal win the Carabao Cup. But if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. We've got 17 games left of the season. Let's just focus on Tottenham. Having said that, I really don't want them to win the league, bro.
Don't, honestly.
No, I don't.
Hang on, let me pose a question to you. Would you rather Arsenal finish second and we finish 10th with no trophies, or would you rather finish in a Champions League spot and Arsenal win the league?
If you change that to we win a trophy,
I didn't specifically, because obviously we take the trophy. Would you take like not finishing top 4 if it meant Arsenal wouldn't win the league, or would you? Cool. At least we're on the same page that way.
100%. I'd rather us not have European football for the next couple of seasons if it stopped them every other. I mean, it's not going to stop them every other season. But do you know what I mean? I hate Arsenal with such a passion. There is this. Oh, it's hard to explain it. We absolutely hate them. But at the end of the day, we are where we are. They are where they are. They deserve to be there. All we can do is just keep winning our games and focusing on that. So it's a tough one.
And I
think we win a trophy though. Come on.
Yes, definitely. We have to this year. I think with what Formz said as well, I think if being tactical a bit out, if we did finish obviously outside the top 4, it meant that that big man at the top has to do something, because that's his big prize at the moment, is finishing top 4. So if that was to happen, I'll take it, because it means that we actually have to have this rebuild that everybody talks about. But obviously moving away from City, that's a lovely 3 points for us. We do obviously next up have Leicester, Connor, and obviously we are about Romero. So with that being said, it looks like obviously Sanchez will probably come in. So are you feeling all right about that game? Obviously, we are away as well.
Am I feeling all right about going away to Leicester without Christian Romero in our defence, with the history of our defence, not in general, but this season? No, but I think the City win is a massive confidence boost. I think we've got a great record at Leicester. We've had some fantastic games there. We had that 6-1, Harry, Sonny. We've had some magical moments. We had last season, Burge win. Oh, just so many magical moments there. I'm confident in that sense. But this is Tottenham. And unfortunately, the way we work, we'll go and beat City. Then we could go and lose to Leicester. So I'm not 100% confident, but I'm confident because it's a boost. So why not? You know, I mean, yeah, why not? Why not? I think we come away with something, and I think they're boosted obviously by beating Villa as well. They played very well against Villa, and that Tete looks brilliant. But yeah, we can go away and get something for sure. Definitely.
Hopefully. I mean, like I say, they beat Villa, like you said, 4-2. But they have drawn to Brighton and lost to Forest and Newcastle form. So with that said, it's kind of in our favour in terms of form at the moment. If you see what I did
for
there.
Sure. Oh, that was so bad.
I completely
Um,
derailed you now.
I just
Yeah,
got that. It was very good. That's very good.
What were we talking about again? Arsenal. No. Look, it's one of them. They're 14th. Not that means anything, because when everyone has a bad run of form, it's Dr. Tottenham in it. But look, I'm confident. We go to Leicester. We beat them. I think that we might concede, but we score so many goals against Leicester. I'm not worried about conceding goals. Well, have we kept how many games in a row we've kept the clean sheet? 3, 4. I'm cool.
So, yeah.
I'm cool with letting a couple in, as long as we get them banged in as well. I'm genuinely, there is no worry in my head about going to that game without Romero. Sanchez puts in a shift when it's asked of him. I think it's annoying when Sanchez plays every now and then. He has a good game. When he gets a consistent run of games, he's pony.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of what a footballer needs.
Yeah.
So cool, keep him in the squad, play him when he's needed, and thank you very much.
Shifted back out again.
Exactly.
No, it does. I think I'm in the same kind of boat. I think we can go there, get the job done. Happy days, move on to the next one. But obviously the big question, which I spoke about at the start of the show, was, Connor, do you keep Emerson in?
100%. 100 million times 100 million%. Of course. Listen, after a performance like that, you do not drop anyone. I'm sorry. If you're dropping him, then I mean, listen, all right, it's Pedro. Yeah, all right, he stays in. There is no middle ground on it. I love Porro already. He's going to be fantastic, but you cannot top a performance like that and then get knocked out of the team. Although maybe he does. Maybe he puts him out as a point of like, keep playing like that. So yeah, you keep him in without a doubt, of course.
Formz, are you on the same? I can see you shaking your
Really?
head.
Look,
Really?
he is going to start Emerson. There's no world in which Porro starts. If I was him, I'd start Porro. My reason being, cool, Emerson, thanks for the memories against Man City, but we needed the defensive, like the more suited to defensive player against City. Against Leicester, I'm expecting us to run absolutely ragged. I'd play Porro purely for that reason. You play, oh God, I hope not Sessegnon, but you play Perisic because he knows exactly what he's doing in attacking positions. He gets balls in the box, great. And if we can have that on the right hand side as well, even bloody better. Emerson can't do that. Porro can. And I think, that's the reason I would, because against a team like Leicester, where they do leave themselves open to conceding quite a few goals, especially against us historically, I would play the more attacking option, albeit you're right, because of Emerson's performance, he will be rewarded with a start.
It is a tricky one, because obviously I really don't like Emerson, but I can't not fault his effort, and the actual effort has turned into something good. No, I really don't. I don't think I've said that enough times. But it is so frustrating though, Connor. You must admit, when he gets down that wing and there's just no end product, because it happened against City, and it's just like, if we have Pedro Porro in there, like Formz says, we get a ball into the box, 100%. There's no doubt about it.
I'll credit Formz. I didn't agree on the old City thing, but nah. To be fair, I'll credit you 100%. I think starting Porro is actually theoretically, when you think about wanting to put the game to bed, is a good idea. You have Perisic one ring, Porro the other, and then you can always bring Emerson on if you want to tie the game up. But no, I agree, and he is very frustrating to watch going forward. It is painful, and it's even more painful when I don't want to say a bad word about him. I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. I want to give him this moment. I'm not going to slate. I'm not going to mention the little Instagram posts of nutmegs. Let's just move past that this week. I want to let him have his moment.
All right, we'll do it. We'll leave it. But it'd be interesting to see what obviously happens. I think we'll be without Conte again, so it'll be interesting if Stellini takes the reins. I mean, like we've all kind of said, we're not displeased if that does happen. I think he did a brilliant job. I think it was for Milan. Was it Milan as well? We stepped in for. We won that game too. So be interesting to see. Was it Milan?
Marseille?
Maybe Marseille. It's one of the M's. I can't remember.
One of them, yeah. No, we got Milan next week.
Yeah,
we do Milan next week. There you go. So you can tell I need a snooze, I think. With that, obviously, let's have our score predictions, because I do love doing them. So Connor, I'll come to you first. Hit me with your score prediction.
You know I hate score predictions. This is the least favourite part of anything ever. Score predictions. Okay, well, because I'm going, we're probably going to struggle. because I have a very bad record away.
Bro, don't say that. I'll meet up with you before.
I'm going to
as
Milan as
well.
well. I'm going to Milan as well. So
I'll meet up with you before the game. I'll calm you down. I'll meet you in Milan. I'll calm you down. We'll be all right.
I'm going to go 3-1. No, 2-1. 2-1.
Ooh, I like it. Have you got the goal scorers? Is that too much for you? Is that too intense?
That's a lot. No, yeah, all right. No, we'll go Harry and Kulu. Harry and Kulu.
Like it. Formz, what are you saying?
4-1. Kane, Emerson, Kulusevski.
Whoa! After you wanted to put Emerson in a ditch and giving him a goal.
He's gonna play, so why not give him a goal?
Could I change my thing? Could I say Emerson hat-trick? Oh.
Emerson hat-trick, but it's 2-1. So Emerson will score 2 for us and then an own goal. You know what? I back that. He might as well get sent off as well.
Just do a double whammy, innit? Just get it all out. But no, they're interesting scorelines. I think, like I say, we'll do it. I'll go 2-1 because I think we will run them ragged. I don't know if we're going to be able to annihilate them as we all want ourselves to, because obviously we've had a few risky games where we've managed to clinch it, obviously last minute. So we'll have to wait and see for that one. But like I say, once again, 3 points. Hopefully next week on Hollie Hotspurs Live, we'll be talking about another win because that'd be lovely. I want to say a big thank you to my guests. So Connor, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Thank you. Always a pleasure. I mainly make TikTok videos. Name's there, CT's for Clovenia. Don't ask why that's my name. Same on YouTube. Add a 1 on the end. Don't look up the normal one. You just find some embarrassing videos. Same on Twitter. Same on Instagram. Yeah. As I say, always a pleasure being on. Make sure you keep subscribing and sharing Hollie's stuff because it's brilliant. And yeah,
thank you. I appreciate it. Now you've sold everybody not to go and check it out without the 1. Everybody's go and check that out now. You do know that. But no, thank you, Connor. I do really appreciate you coming on. And Formz, thank you very much again. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Thanks for having me. I retweet what Connor said about Hollie. Her content bangs, and she knows what she's doing, and she's lovely, and she's great, and she's coys. And she loves Harry Winks. You can
maybe
find
leave
me...
that bit out.
No. You love Harry Winks. You've got him sitting behind you. Go and watch my Man City vlog on TikTok. Literally type in Formz. I'll be the first one that comes up with the blue tick, and click it, watch it, like it, love me. I love you too.
Love it. Is that? Thank you again, Formz. Thank you to everybody else in the stream, everybody that's rewatching or watching or sharing, whatever. Thank you very much. I do really appreciate it. Hollie Hotspurs Live is obviously every Monday at 7 p.m. So make sure you're about for that one. And like I always say, like we always do, come on, you Spurs.